Greetings everyone, my name is Maya and right now you're watching my birth story. I decided to film this one with as little editing as possible just to keep it as sincere and raw as it happened. I promise to keep all of the graphic details away from this video, and this birth story will not include any footage from the birth process itself, just because I consider it a very intimate matter that does not have to be shared online to a wide audience. It's just my experience, what I went through. If you're an expecting mother or a parent right now, I hope you will find this video insightful, because that is the type of content that I was consuming when I was preparing for my birth, and it was extremely beneficial and calming for me to hear the different ways how the birth can go and how eventually it ends up being your individual experience that is almost in every single step different from what you see or hear online or from the stories of the people that you know. So my birth started at actually my due date, which was the 14th of December. That was the day when I hit 40 weeks. Before that, I was offered a membrane sweep at 39 weeks, which I declined because I thought that I would go into labor naturally, and that's what I initially wanted. But 40 weeks hit and nothing changed, so I agreed to a membrane sweep, and it was honestly extremely painful. I was not expecting it to be so painful. I would say that the pain from this procedure was almost exactly the same as the pain from one of the most strong contractions that I felt. After I had that membrane sweep at my 40-week OB appointment, I experienced, I would say, a mild to strong cramping, which I could handle by disassociating at that very moment till the end of the day, because I was driving a lot. We had a lot of errands to run on that day. And from what I've learned preparing for giving birth, being distracted for as long as possible is the best coping technique, which at least worked for me wonders. And that's what I would definitely recommend to anyone who is expecting a natural, non-induced birth, because I think that's the best way to go. The 14th of December ended. I had my membrane sweep in the morning, and I slept a very chill and serene night, considering that before that I used to have nights when I had trouble sleeping. I had some type of cramping during the nights, but that night was like completely chill and relaxed. And I understand now that maybe it was specifically done that way by my body just to make sure that I gain as much power and strength to prepare for the process that was about to start. So the 15th of December approached, and I started the day with literally no cramping, no feelings at all. And by noon, I started to have a bit of a slight to mild cramping, which was easily manageable for me. I even managed to do my manicure at home. I cooked a whole lunch and dinner, and we had a walk with my husband, and just overall had a great day. And I would say that from about 6 p.m. I started to time my contractions, and for as long as possible I did not believe that the labor was starting, because I've read that only 24% of women after the membrane sweep experience the labor signs actually appearing. So I was not sure that membrane sweep would work for me, and I thought that the most recent video that I watched on YouTube was about false labor and how a woman experienced so much contractions for about like 24 hours and it did not end up in a birth. So I was experiencing those contractions, I was timing them, and when they became rhythmic in a form of 411, we decided to pack our things and go to the hospital. We did it absolutely relaxedly and chill. We even decided to have a full dinner, expecting that if we go into labor, we would both likely, me and my husband, would want to be full with food and strength. So we had our dinner and we headed to the hospital, and I would say that my contractions started to pump up during the drive there. It was a bit hard for me to talk through them, and I had to close my eyes and concentrate on the contraction to go through this wave and survive through it all. And at the point when I came into the triage room, I was 4 centimeters dilated, and I had very, very painful contractions. I think mostly because during this whole exam in the triage room, you had to lay down on the OB chair, and I was not allowed to move because they had to put a monitor on my belly and monitor the baby's heartbeat and all of that. So as soon as I was able to get off that hospital bed and move around, I started to get through the contractions a lot easier. I was able to even talk sometimes through them. Since The birth itself was a process where I decided to take my husband and my friend with me. She was the one who helped me the most. And I would say that I don't know who survives birth by themselves alone. I would definitely recommend taking someone with you, just because concentrating on somebody's voice and when this person knows what to recommend to you is extremely useful. And my friend was fully responsible on holding my hands, on breathing with me, holding and exhaling with me, just because that was the easiest way for me to go through a contraction. I tried a yoga bowl, which was useful only during the very, very early stages of labor while I was at home. In the hospital itself, I labored for about 4 hours. By laboring, I mean surviving through contractions. And the most useful position for me was literally leaning over the bed or leaning over the table, and just deep breathing was the only thing that helped me. And additionally, always remembering that each contraction has the beginning, the peak of it, and the end of it. No contractions are forever, and that was what helped me to survive it. I would say that we arrived at the hospital at around 8 p.m., meaning that I had early signs of labor and early stages of labor went by me and passed by me in my home. And in the hospital, I labored for 4 hours until 12 p.m. And that was the moment when I decided to ask for an epidural. Initially, thanks to Bridget Taylor here on YouTube, I was the kind of woman who was like, I'm going to give birth as natural as I can, no medical interventions, no medications, nothing. But I always gave myself room to change my decision, understanding that I do not want to go through this life-changing experience with a trauma. I came into the hospital understanding that if I want an epidural, I will ask for it. And fortunately, there was no pressure from the medical staff at all. So I was the one who initiated it. And I honestly thought that this would happen in a matter of like 7 minutes. Somebody's gonna come, put the needle in me, and the life will be extremely liveful and joyful from that moment. But it turned out that there was a line. In front of me, there was at least one woman who expected an epidural. And additionally, since I have scoliosis, it kind of was a complication for the two doctors that were managing the procedure to decide on the specific area where to insert it, just to make sure that it works. Because with scoliosis, the problem is that sometimes when you put an epidural in, it may work only on one side of the body, meaning that there is no literal help of an epidural in terms of pain management for you. I must say that when I came into the hospital, I was offered, if I want to, some sort of pain management through an IV that would help me before an epidural. And I discussed with my husband, unfortunately, I don't remember the name of the drug they were offering, but that was some sort of a drug that kind of gets you high, but it's not a laughing gas. And we decided that as long as I can bear through contractions without additional medication that is not epidural, I will do that. And I'm glad that I did, because I managed to go through 4 hours of labor. I'm glad that I had this experience, because at least I know what labor feels like, and that it's not cute and fun, and it's actually painful. But that's the kind of experience that makes me acknowledge and respect myself for knowing that I can get through this, that I got through this, and that I actually felt what it feels. Maybe not to the whole 100%, but to like 30-40%, I think I experienced labor in this most natural and raw way possible. So I got my epidural at around 12 p.m. It was very, very effective. I stopped feeling the contractions at all. Honestly, in terms of the amount of research that I've done, I was sure that the epidural is kind of the same as the spinal anesthesia. So I was expecting to not be able to move my legs at all. While I was actually moving my legs, I was able to change the positions on the bed, and I was offered to go to sleep just to kind of gain a little bit of power inside of me. So me, my husband, and our friend, we all went to bed. I think I slept for about like 30 to 40 minutes. I was not feeling anything. I was just there looking at the view out of my labor room and just thinking about what is happening. And I was just chilling there, honestly. I think from the very beginning of when my epidural was inserted, I was offered a peanut ball. The nurse literally put me on one side with a peanut ball in between my knees and came every like 40 minutes to just twist me, help me change my position to the other side to still have that peanut ball in between my legs. I was not offered an explanation why it was done in this specific way, but I suppose it was just the way of helping my body to dilate and progress in terms of labor. And I think after about an hour and a half to 2 hours after I had my epidural, so it's like 2 a.m., the doctor came and offered me to break my waters. I agreed to it. she has done it, and she said that my waters have a little bit of a bloody discharge. So I did feel a little bit of that tickling sensation that something is literally leaking, but it was not problematic, and fortunately the nurse took care of me very, very well in that sense. I think at around 3:45 to 4 a.m., my husband and my friend were sleeping, and I started to feel the contractions through the epidural. I was kind of starting to get a little bit uncomfortable, and I pressed the epidural button just once. I know that at my hospital you're allowed to press it 3 times, and after that the epidural just works as a placebo and the dosage just doesn't go up. So I upped my dosage just once. It kind of helped, but then I started to feel a lot of pelvic pressure, a lot of pressure down there. I would not say that it's the same feeling as wanting to poop. I don't know why everyone compares it to that feeling. It's not that. It's a literal feeling of a baby's head pushing on your sacrum. I don't know how to call this whole pelvic area. And it's not a feeling that can go away and that can be changed. It's just there. And it was kind of coming and going, coming and going. It was not constant. And when the nurse came, she asked me whether it's coming and going or is it constant. I said it's not constant. And she said that if you want, a doctor can check your dilation. And I didn't know that it's something that I must decide on. I was sure that the doctor is the person who has to decide on it, because she said that since the moment I came, she will be checking on me every 6 hours. And I was like, wow, how long are they expecting this birth to go? If they'll be checking me every 6 hours, that's such big time ranges. So she comes around at around like 4:15, checks me and says, oh, you're 10 centimeters dilated. Do you want to push? And I was like, well, yeah, if I am. No more than 1.5 to 2 minutes passed, and the room was filled with lots of people. I was giving birth at a resident type of clinic, meaning that I had a main doctor and 2 resident doctors present, a pediatrician doctor present, some sort of additional personnel there, my nurse, my husband, my friend. I would say that generally the room was filled with like maybe 12 people. Through this whole process, what I was most grateful for, everyone knew what they were doing. No one was pushing anything onto me. Everything was very chill and relaxed. I felt extremely safe in the hands of medical personnel, and the way they were behaving and their vibe was so relaxed and just so content that I was actually smiling and kind of laughing and just joking with them, just because I was not understanding and expecting that the birth can go so easily and without any stress, trauma, yelling, or I don't know, unexpected weirdness happening. Everything was just how it was planned to be. That's what I would call it. I literally pushed the baby out in like 15 minutes. At the first time, even though I definitely researched and did all of my knowledge preparation for birth, I did not expect that I would not know how to push. And at the first few times that I was pushing with my face because I didn't know where to put the pressure on. And then my friend put her hand on my belly and she was like, try pushing, in a feeling of trying to push my hand away. And that made me change the focus of my pushing from my face to my belly and helped me to do the exact muscle contraction to help push the baby out. The whole process did not feel for me at all. I would say that I definitely felt the contractions during the early stages of labor. I felt the contractions under epidural, but the pushing I did not feel at all, like no sensations. And that was the most surprising thing for me, because I was expecting it to be the most painful part of birth, and it wasn't. I think I pushed for about like 8 to 9 times. It was one by one by one by one. I did not have like long breaks. The maximum duration of a break I had between pushing was like 20 seconds. And the last time I was pushing, the doctor said, well, the baby's heart rate is dropping, so if you're not going to push the baby out at this last push, we're going to take the vacuum extractor. And as soon as I heard that word vacuum, I was like, I'm gonna push this baby out right now. And it helped me. And then I joked to the doctor after I pushed the baby out, and he was like, yeah, usually it helps women to just hear the word like those triceps or whatever, or a vacuum, and they push the baby out. Just psychologically, it helps you to collect all of your emotions and energy and strength and literally do this. The baby was put on me immediately, and I'm grateful for that skin to skin contact. He started to yell well right away. And he was kind of yelling for a pretty long time. And I even asked the pediatrician who was standing right behind me, why is he yelling for so long? And she's like, it's actually good because it means that his lungs are clearing out and it wouldn't be worse if his crying was shorter. She said that his Apgar score was 8 to 9, which made me very, very happy. Almost immediately after I delivered my baby, the doctors said that they will be delivering my placenta, or at least they said something along the lines of, we're going to deliver your placenta right now. This is the part of my labor where I'm kind of not fully satisfied of how it went. Medical conclusion that I got in the documents was that the placenta was delivered spontaneously, but what I felt is that they decided to do it a little bit too early when the placenta was not ready to be delivered. And that was the opinion of my friend who was attending the birth, who was a medical professional, the woman that I mentioned multiple times in this video. I still, fortunately, did not feel a thing, but they put a bit of pressure on my belly with their hands and they delivered the placenta, and they said that all of it was happening during the time of my skin to skin with my baby, but still I was asking questions. I was asking what's happening down there, is everything going well? And they said that the placenta came out, but it didn't came out fully, and that was the reason why they brought an ultrasound machine to check on the leftovers, literally. And 3 doctors, 2 residents, and one of the doctors was literally like hand cleaning me out just to make sure that everything of the residue of the placenta was taking out. Due to this process, I suppose, or to the process that the placenta was kind of ruptured when it got delivered, I had lost more blood than it was normal, but fortunately not too much in terms of like being put under like blood transfusion thing. I just felt a lot of physical shaking after everything of it went down. And additionally, I was told that it's kind of a normal part of the process because of the hormonal change, because of the stress and the shock that the body is experiencing. And that shaking was kind of a very, very weird thing because everything ended. The doctors went away. I only had my nurse, my husband, and my friend and the baby there. But I was literally laying there for like an hour, shaking uncontrollably, not being able to stop it in any way, just the physical reaction of a continuous shake. And just with time, it kind of faded away. I knew that I was given antibiotics for the reason of 3 doctors putting their hands inside of me just because it was a risk of like additional infection. They decided to give me antibiotics through an IV. Additionally, I was given oxytocin because I was told that it helps to stop the blood loss. And I think I was given something else as well, maybe some sort of a painkiller, but that's how the process went. That I would say was the whole birthing experience. And what has helped me the most, and what I would recommend to anyone who's watching it for the sake of preparing for their own birth, is try to collect as much information as possible, not only from the books, not only from the online courses, but from the life experience of other people. After watching like about 20 different birth stories here on YouTube, I knew what to expect, and I think it's best to come into birth prepared with the tools that you know. For example, I took with me the hypnobirthing wooden comb to kind of squeeze into my hand to help my body distract from the pain of the contraction, and that did not help me. I was expecting to go underwater like a shower, and I even requested like a wireless monitor put on my belly just so I could take a bath, and it didn't happen just because I asked for an epidural and was able to labor without any water therapy. But still, I was grateful that I was given those options. I took a lot of snacks with me to the labor room, and I was not restricted to eat anything. And between the contractions, I drank my Gatorade, I ate my gummy bears, and it's definitely something that helps to pick you up, helps you to put you in a better mood, and helps you to go through this whole process with a lot less stress. The more you are prepared, at least that's what helps me, and I'm a very neurotic person that worries about every single detail, is knowledge, education, knowing what to expect, both from the medical, physical, raw, bloody side of things to the emotional and educational preparation in terms of knowing what to think, in terms of knowing how to behave, because I think most of the stress happens from inadequate reactions and fear. I mean, so many women give birth and it's such a normal physiological part of life that I will definitely give birth to and nothing terrible will happen. And even if something will not go as planned, I have literal medics there, people with high education, with profession, and with lots of experience in it, who will definitely take care of me. I was not against anything, but still I was advocating for myself. I had my husband confident with me. We've made the decisions that we've made, and I'm very, very happy with the result. Overall, I would rate my birth on a scale of 1 to 10, and I would give it a 9. The only thing that kind of threw me off is this whole delivery of a placenta thing with this whole abruption and all of that. But generally, I would say that I had a great birth. I would not say that it's some sort of experience that I would love to try once again and offer every single person that I meet that you have to go through this. It's such a great experience. No, it's painful. No, it's life-changing. No, it's stressful. No, it's very, very unique and different from what you're used to being in the hospital, being in the medical setting and all of that. But generally, I would say that it went very well for me. I really, really hope and wish for anyone who's watching this to have the birth that you would like, in the way that you would like, with the medical or not medical interventions that you accept for yourself. It's a very, very individual process, and I want you to remember that. The most important thing is to come out of this life process alive and with a healthy baby and feel your best. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to read your comments and any kind of ideas or your personal experiences that you would like to share. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.